Good morning, and welcome to the very first episode of Pedro's podcast. Pedro's podcast is both a byproduct of me not having sufficient amount of storage on my phone, and just like every other broke person, I will run it to the ground before I go and buy a new one. Therefore, from lack of storage and not being able to send a regular SMS video, I went other routes. Second, it is also with the intention of a person that I have met who has gone through so much yet asked for so little, and this is just one of the ways and forms that I go to try and make his days just a little bit brighter. First, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsors that made this episode possible. First is after only about 3 or 4 hours of interrupted sleep, I have this precious brown bean water that I'm consuming daily. It's a habit. Nothing else needs to be said. Everybody knows. Another thing, this beautiful thing right here, sunlight. Can't live with it, can't live without it. Go get you some, just walk outside. And third most important, last but not least, is sarcasm. If you haven't gotten it by now, I don't know what to tell you. A little bit about Pedro. Well, I don't know a hell of a lot. From what he has told me, you've had to read between the lines and kind of just pick and choose through the parts that you want to believe and what you don't. And that's completely fine, because in the end, it really doesn't matter. Second, I know his birth date. He was very imperative on showing his calligraphy skills on one of the last days, and he was leaving me a goodbye note. So on the back of a construction cardstock tag, he wrote his entire full name and birth date. I have never had anybody do that before, so I took it as I better not let this man forget his own birthday. Well, I better not forget his own birthday because he doesn't. I don't know where he was born. For all I know, he could have been born on the beaches of San Juantaneo and had his umbilical cord chewed off by sharks. I have not a fucking clue. But what I do know, in the spans of time that I did get to know him and be around him, is that he has had a very rough life. A very, very, very rough life. One that I will never be able to imagine, but even if I imagine the worst, just being around his presence and talking to him, as I still do, and from my own experience and what I have seen and felt, knowing what trauma and a lot of bad things can do to a person, he is by far the kindest man that I have ever met, and he deserves to know, even if he probably doesn't believe it, which is ironic, but that's how humbleism is. Anyhow, that's about all I know about him, and I'm just going out of my way to make sure that he knows it. Second, about myself. Well, I know a whole lot about myself, but there's not enough time to explain that in one episode. That is not about me. Yeah. See you next time. If there's a next time. Thank you for watching. Signing off.